This is Gadget Stop 321. In today's video, I'm going to be comparing two fountain pens from Sailor. I've got the Sailor Pro Color 500. Now, this is a more, falls into that entry-level category or more of a workhorse everyday. You can throw this in your purse or your bag type of pen. And I've got the Sailor 1911 Standard, which I would consider more of a next level pen. Both of these pens they're aesthetically similar, and I'll get into it a little bit later. The writing experience is pretty similar with these two, and that's not a knock on the 1911. That's a compliment of the Pro Color. Now the Pro Color, you can find this anywhere from $40 to $60. That's what I found. I got mine directly from a Japanese retailer. It came in this box came in this sleeve, and it's just a cardboard box. It was sealed up in a little plastic bag. Had a little tag on the clip. Underneath, you've got some literature, 3 little pamphlets that they're all in Japanese, but they appear to be, this one appears to be pen maintenance, how to fill the pen, how to clean it. Not sure what this one is. It may be something about the warranty, and that's something that you have to think of when you buy a pen directly from a retailer in Japan rather than a U.S. retailer. You may not have that warranty coverage. But this pen came without a converter. It came with 2 ink cartridges. And I'm going to set that over here for now. The 1911 Standard, I also got it from a retailer in Japan. Now, I wanted to say, I have seen, when I first saw the Pro Color, it was available from at U.S. retailers. But when I bought this earlier this summer, I had to buy it from a Japanese retailer. I couldn't find it, or I was unable to locate it from a U.S. retailer. Like I said, this one ran from $40 to $60, depending on what retailer you got it from, what finish, whatnot. The 1911 came in a little bit nicer box, like the spring-loaded clamshell, but it came with all the same stuff. Exactly the same. The little sealed up in a plastic bag. Had the little tag on the clip. You lift this up and it's the same literature. This one also did not come with a converter. I have a Sailor converter, and I can't remember if it's in one of these. I've got 1 Sailor converter and 4 Sailor pens that I kind of move the converter around. Sailor converters, I've seen them anywhere from $6 to $8. So it adds a little bit of cost. Now, the 1911s, you can find these, the 1911 Standard, you can find these at U.S. retailers. Not necessarily in this finish. Sailor has different finishes, different colors that are available in different markets. And let's see, this also came in a little sleeve. And it came with 2 cartridges, no converter. So I'm going to get these out of the way for now. And these 2 pens are aesthetically very similar. They're the same size, same shape. They have the same shape clip, but there's a little more detail, if you notice, on the 1911. But I don't mind the plain clip. You know, they both look nice. A ring up at the top. Let me see. I don't know if I think that ring is attached to the clip. The ring and the clip are attached. The cap band between the two is a little bit different. The 1911 has a narrow and a wide cap band. I really like this look. And the Pro Color has one large cap band. Now I will say, I've seen a Pro Gear Slim. I've seen, I think, a couple Pro Gear Slims that have this cap band on it. I can't remember if I've seen any 1911s. So, you know, sometimes they do put this cap band on the next level pins. But they both say the same thing. They say Sailor, or let me see, founded 1911, Sailor, Japan. You know, I like this cap band better, but this is a classy look. The end of the 1911 is perfectly smooth, and it's got another band. I mentioned this in another video that you can see. I think this is actually two parts. Let's see if we can focus in on that. See that line right there? I think it's actually a seam where this is two parts. I think this is actually two parts. Like this end is a little plug that is stuck in there. But, you know, I think it looks okay. And I didn't mention, I said that the Pro Color was in the $40 to $60 range. The 1911 standard starts, I've seen it at retailers starting at about $90 and can go up from there, depending on, you know, what edition it is. But they all the 1911s are pretty much made out of this same material, just a plastic. Now I'm trying to tell if there's not a, I can't tell whether maybe this is a more premium plastic. I think they're roughly the same. It's a nice feeling plastic. It doesn't feel overly fragile. Now you can tell, let's see, there's a slight difference in the nibs, though not as much of a difference as you might think. The 1911 has a 14 karat gold nib. And depending on the trim, sometimes these are rhodium plated to give them a silver color. So it's got the 1911, the anchor, 14 karat, 585, and the nib size is on the side. This is a hard medium. I should have done the writing sample first. I do this every time. And the steel nib, you can tell it's a little bit skinnier, but it's the same design. It's got the 1911, the anchor, and then it says Sailor at the bottom. This one says Sailor at the bottom too. Very tiny. And on the side, this one says fine. But I will say, this steel nib writes more like a medium fine. And in fact, the retailer that I bought this one from said that this was a medium fine. And then when I got it and looked at the nib, it actually said fine. but it writes a little bit broader than the fine and a little bit finer than this medium. All right, I was going to do just a writing sample between the two. The writing experience, I've been using both of these this week, and both of them are almost out of ink. I've been using them for writing notes and journaling, and I have just enjoyed both of them. Let's see, I'm gonna start with the medium. Now, on this page, I had previously done a writing sample with this pen using Earl Grey ink, but both of these right now have Sailor Black ink that came out of ink cartridges. Yeah, I think this one has a converter in it, but it's got black ink that I took out of this cartridge so that they would have the same ink. All right, I hope these right. I love how these two pens post. It posts deeply and just fits my hand really nicely. Oh, looky there. This is almost out of ink. All right, and this is a medium. I'm excited about burning through the ink on these two because I've got, you know, some other inks that I'm wanting to try in these nibs. Now, both of these have a cap liner. You can't really see it at this angle, but you can tell when you're screwing the lid on, you hit a point where it stops, and then you can turn it just a little bit more. You can feel that cap liner engaging. And the same thing on the Pro Color. You're putting the cap on, you feel it stop, and you can turn just a little bit more, and you feel that cap liner engaging. All right, let's see. The medium, you can tell, is a little bit smoother, and it's not a scratchy feeling. It's just, you can tell that the tipping is just slightly smaller. No, this is out of ink. You can tell this medium just has a larger amount of tipping on it. I really enjoy both of these. Now let me see. This one, the cap band, let's see. The cap band comes down past the plastic. And one of the things I was concerned about, that this might be a rough edge that could scratch, especially when I'm posting. But this is a nice smooth edge. One thing, this one, since it's metal, I don't know if it's the metal that's, or actually the plastic up in there that is catching, that makes it post. It doesn't post quite as securely as the 1911, but it's, you know, it's secure, but I just noticed that it's easier to take it off. Another thing I noticed on this pen that this is metal on plastic, and when I first took the section off from the body, it was really squeaky, so I put a little bit of silicone grease on that just so it wouldn't be so squeaky. The threads are a little bit loose there, but with the silicone grease on it, just a little bit, it stopped it from being squeaky. Let's see this one. I don't know. I think this plastic feels a little bit different. Yeah, I think this might be a slightly cheaper plastic, but it's not a significant difference. It's not worth paying. You know, if you're wanting to spend in the $40 to $60 range, that's not a major flaw of this. And that's why, since it's a different plastic, I think that's why this posts a little more securely. It feels almost a little stickier. So it just, this one, that's the difference. The difference in the plastic. This might be a slightly more fragile plastic. Let's see. And the threads on this one, it's also metal on plastic. And it's, yeah, it wiggles around too, but it doesn't make quite as much noise because it's just a different plastic. It's the difference in the material makes a difference. That's why this isn't a squeaky, hard plastic. But as far as posting the pen and writing, or even if you don't want to post it, this is a nice everyday writer. I'm looking forward to using this one with KWZ Standard Grapefruit. I got a sample. Someone recommended this to me, and I think that's going to be a nice pair with this. So I'm glad this one's running out of ink, so I can give that a try. And I'm curious to see, I've only used this really well lubricated Sailor black ink. I'm curious to try some other inks in this and see how smooth it writes. But if you found this video helpful, please give me a thumbs up, and if you'd like to see more videos like this, please subscribe to my channel.